closing some mosques. Would you do the same thing in America?
I would do that, absolutely. I think it's great. I know they have a lot of proposals over there. If you go out, you go fight for ISIS,
can you do it?
You can't come back. Why can't you do it? You can do it here.
Can you close a mosque? I mean, we do have
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard about the closing of the mosque. It depends. If the mosque is, you know, loaded for bear, I don't know. You're going to have to certainly look at it.
You know, earlier today, by the way, that was Donald Trump in an interview with Stuart Varney. That was a couple of weeks ago, but earlier today I saw a tweet from actor James Woods saying that he thought closing mosques in America would, quote, gut our core values. I did a poll, and, well, this is what you guys had to say. 47.5% said they disagree with him, that they actually didn't think it was a bad thing. So joining me now, the founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, former Assistant Director of the FBI, Bill Gavin, and back with me as well, Tammy Bruce. You know, I got to say, Dr. Zuhdi, thanks for coming on the show. I was a little bit surprised because the article that James Woods was talking about was sort of misleading. It said Donald Trump, or suggested Donald Trump wanted to close all mosques. So I presented the question that way, and over 50% said, yes, we should close all mosques.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, our laws, our Constitution is not done by plebiscite, it's done by the laws. The Supreme Court ruled in Bradbury versus Ohio that as long as they aren't preaching open violence, the KKK was allowed to operate. So in a country that the Nazis have an open party, the KKK does, we are not going to defeat radical Islam by pushing them underground. Ask Tajikistan, ask Uzbekistan, ask all of these countries that are authoritarian regimes that push radical Islam underground. It spreads like wildfire. You defeat bad ideas with the rays of sunlight. You defeat them by exposing them, which we're not doing because of political correctness. But for a president to say that our first freedom we're going to sort of throw in the wastebasket, you're going to alienate the very people you need to reform the ideas that are creating this cauldron of radical Islam.
So Dr. Jasser, what role do American Muslims have to play in this in order to help make the distinction between radical Islam and those of the faith who don't believe in that, and to help other Americans understand what's going on here? Because right now, obviously, people are being driven by fear, anger, and world events.
Well, Muslims need to get past the denial. We need to start exposing the sermons that are being preached. I mean, look in Belgium. The reason you have this clinic of radicalization of jihadis going to Syria and coming back and plotting against Paris and other places of freedom is because that cauldron of separationism, of isolationism away from the countries that give them freedom. So our Muslim communities need to stop being led by the Muslim Brotherhood legacy groups that are currently advising this administration to be afraid of criticizing anything Islamic, and enable the reformers who want to identify the fact that we have a cancer within that needs to be treated, needs the tough chemotherapy, not just vitamins, but chemotherapy to be resolved and addressed. And once we start doing that, we'll start working with the mosques that are reformers and then marginalizing, not shutting down, marginalizing the mosques that are cauldrons of hatred.
Bill Gavin, former Assistant Director of the FBI, you're in Boston. You know, one of the things people said in the aftermath of the slaughter up there recently, that the Tsarnaev brothers attended a mosque where there were fugitives, radical speakers, even terrorist suspects, and that particular mosque in Cambridge is a prime example of a mosque that probably should have been shut down.
Well, Charles, I really believe that somehow we've got to look backwards. If you're going to talk like that, wanting to shut down a mosque simply because it's a mosque, somebody ought to read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States of America and find out what that's really all about. Secondly, Mr. Trump has this ability to speak out in situations like this where he puts out these catchy phrases that appeal to the visceral side of people, and yet, like the Wizard of Oz, you peel back the curtain, and there's not a lot there in terms of substance. It seems that what he does is just counter to what should be done in the United States. He will do things such as make these kinds of statements that don't make any sense whatsoever to the rest of us. He opens his mouth really to change feet most of the time, and it's horrible when he says he's going to send millions of people back to Mexico.
Here's the thing, though, Tammy. Visceral or not, it has touched something And like I said, I was shocked that this is obviously an unscientific, informal poll, but it was consistent throughout the day. And people not only voted, but they gave me their reasons why. And they just do not see a compatibility between the Islam that they know and America based on Christian Judeo values.
Well, as you mentioned, though, that it was misrepresented, the nature of what Mr. Trump said, that he wasn't saying all mosques should be closed. He says, well, if one's loaded for bear. This becomes
the other two guests are saying not even the radicalized ones.
Yes, well, let me answer back to that, because I disagree with that in fact, if you've got a mosque that is not even behaving as a legitimate Muslim worship place, that it is behaving as a radicalizing, violent dynamic for jihadis, for everyone who says that all Muslims, of course, are not terrorists, it's in the interest of people who care about Islam to have those false dynamics removed. And if you've got a framework where that is what they're doing, and it is an affront to the nature of Islam, an affront to all Muslims, I think it is beneficial to, in fact, remove them. Otherwise, they stand as a reflection of Islam,
Which is
and that's the
essentially what
mistake.
Dr. Jasser said as well. Thank you all very, very much.